welcome to today's Careers Week event. I'm here with Codebar, Kimberley Cook from Codebar. I'm Mandy Garner, I'm managing editor of Working Mums. And I thought I'd just give you a little thing about some statistics about the tech industry before we kick off. So the UK tech industry is said to be worth at least £800 billion. But there continues to be a lack of diversity when it comes to technology roles, especially with regards to gender in leadership positions. According to recent figures from Tech UK, less than a tenth of senior leaders in UK tech are from ethnic minority groups, a sixth of IT professionals are female, and a tenth of all IT specialists have a disability. So we need to do more to ensure that certain groups are not left behind by the industry, which is where Codebar comes in. It's a charity that facilitates the growth of a diverse tech community by running free regular programming workshops for minority groups in tech. So here, now I want to just introduce you to Kimberley Cook, who is the director of Codebar, and she's going to tell you what Codebar does and how it came into being. Over to you, Kimberley. Hi.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me today. And thank you so much, everyone else, for giving up part of your Thursday morning to come and hear me talk about Codebar. I really appreciate it. I've got a short presentation, which I'll do, and then there's lots of times at the end for questions. I always really like to chat with people and people ask questions because I really think that's where, we can engage the most. So if you just give me a second. So perfect. So yeah, my name is Kimberley Cook. I'm a software developer and I'm also Codebar director. I am from a small place in the south called Southampton. Southampton is probably best known for the Titanic. And I've also moved around a little bit as well. I went to Bournemouth University, that's where I then really got into programming and learning to code. And actually, I've been a developer now for around 13 years, but I have in the last 2.5 years transitioned to Codebar, which is what I'll talk more about today. So I want to start by saying, so you're thinking of considering a career in tech. And I do just want to caveat this talk by saying that there are so many different ways that you can get into tech. The thing that I'm going to talk about today and Codebar's journey is just one way. You can do a boot camp. There are lots of, there are degrees. There are so many online resources that are free that you can use, which are amazing to use. So I want to just caveat this whole thing by saying that using Codebar is simply one way of joining tech. And there are also tons of roles in tech that you can do. I'm going to talk a lot about becoming a developer and, a software developer, because that's my background and that's what we do. But there are so many roles in tech. As a developer, I've worked really closely with people who write documentation, with business analysts, with testers, with designers, with product managers, with product owners. And there are just so many roles. So again, that's the second caveat to this talk, by saying there are so many roles in tech that you can do. So I'm going to talk predominantly about becoming a developer and learning to code, because that's my background and that's what we do at Codebar. So what is Codebar? We started Codebar in 2013 simply out of frustration. We were 3 female engineers, and we were just annoyed at being the only women in our tech teams, and we wanted to change that. And we didn't want to just, moan about it together. And we were like, okay, well, what's something we can do to encourage more diversity in tech? And that's where the idea of Codebar came about. And we were looking at what was on offer, and particularly if you were going down the self-taught route, actually, that was the key, because we knew that there were people doing it, but there wasn't much support for those people. And actually, when you're learning a new skill, and that new skill can be anything, it could be riding a bike, it could be learning to code, it could be learning tennis. Often learning a new skill is quite scary, and it's intimidating. And it's also an incredibly vulnerable position to be in. And we wanted to create a space where people, particularly minorities, could come, learn to code, and also connect with other people that were doing the same thing as well, because that was the key part, is that if you could meet people that were also going through it, you could support each other, you could feel less lonely, and having a support network is so important. So that was really our core belief when we started codebar, was that, yeah, we wanted people to get access to these materials, these workshops, these events for free. That was the main thing. We wanted everything we did to be free, and that network, creating that network. And that started, like we said, in 2013. And since then, it's grown hugely. We actually always describe it as a wonderful accident, because actually our intention was never to grow it into this huge, huge thing. But what it did is it told us that actually people wanted change. People wanted to make tech more diverse. People wanted to also help other people. People wanted to connect. And so what started to happen is people heard about what we were doing and then wanted to start a codebar in their city. So that's why, the fourth stat on this page is, it says 45 chapters around the world. So we started in London. Someone from Brighton heard about what we were doing and said, this is amazing. I'm loving this, but the travel is really annoying. And like, could I start a codebar in Brighton? And because we built the website, we then built out this thing called chapters. And that's then how chapters became a thing. And then it kind of snowballed into this really, really wonderful thing. And yet, we've got over 25,000 community members now in our as part of codebar. Over 19,000 of those are students, 6,800 are coaches, and we've run over 2,400 events since we started in 2013. And I think a big part of this as well is the way we run our events. So if you're considering a career in tech and you think, oh, I don't really know where to start, or I don't really know what programming language I should use. But again, it's quite scary. I don't want to go into this environment where like I, I, I can't really ask a question. Actually, what happens is our workshop is, firstly, you can tick a box that says, I don't know, I'm a complete beginner. So then what happens at the workshop is one of our organizers will sit and talk with you and just understand, what path in tech you want to go. And then, then they'll go, okay, we suggest you learn HTML or learn Python. And the second part to it is it's not a teacher classroom format. So the way it works is if you want to attend codebar, you sign up, you subscribe to a chapter. So then once you've subscribed, that's then when you'll start to receive email invites. And again, when I say chapter, I mean a location. Then you tell us what you want help with. And again, you can pick, I don't know, I'm a complete beginner. And then we're going to pair you one-to-one with an experienced coach. So again, it's just you and one other person working through either a tutorial or a personal project. So again, if you want to ask a question, it's a really safe space to do that, because, way back we did, we were like, oh, people aren't asking questions, like, and actually we just realized the teacher classroom format just really wasn't working. And so that's why we do the 2-to-1 ratio. And that just creates just such a nice environment to ask questions and talk. Sometimes at workshops, people get halfway through a tutorial and then they'll start talking to their coach about like the interview process in tech, or they might be like, oh, I've got a CV, like, do you mind taking a quick look? And that's really nice as well, because then each student gets a really customized experience. But it's you telling us, it's you saying to us, I want help with this, and then we'll pair you one-to-one. So I think that's why we've grown the way we have, because it's a really unique setup. And it's just so unique. I've never seen another organizational community run like we do. And so yeah, I mentioned that there's loads of locations around the world, and these are a handful of ones that are, if you do the numbers, you'll notice that there's not 45 here, and that's because those ones are no longer running. So I've listed ones that are still running workshops. So we've got workshops in all of these locations, so you can attend in person, or you'll see that there is a virtual UK chapter. And there's actually a newest one called Virtual Central Europe. There is also a virtual chapter. So actually one of the really nice things, or not really nice, one of the positive things for us actually that came out of COVID was virtual events. And, virtual events like this, we had never run a virtual event before COVID. We were very location dependent. So you could only come to Codebar if you happen to be in Brighton, Cambridge, these locations. But when COVID happened, we quickly changed to 100% virtual. Then, when we started to go back into person, we realized how important those virtual workshops were for people. And what we realized is actually we were excluding a ton of people by not running virtual workshops. And so that's why, um, end of 2020, beginning of 2021, whenever it was when we started to go back to in person, we knew that we had to run virtual because events like this are so important for giving people access. And also it just means you're opening up to everyone, like I say, events like this as well, it means that you can join from anywhere. And what we realized is that we were actually excluding a huge amount of people by being so location dependent. So that's the second really nice thing about our workshops is that they're in person for those people who want in person, and they're virtual. And you can also attend both. There's no strict rules on how many workshops or events of ours you attend. We're not a boot camp. I'm not here to say to you, you have to attend, you sign up and you have to attend 6 workshops or 12 workshops or however many, because life just doesn't work like that. Things in life happen, and actually what we are here is we're here to support you, and you can attend the workshops whenever you want. And also how frequently, how often. So, if you receive that email invite for Peterborough and you go, oh, I can't go Thursday because I'm working late, or I've got parents' evening, or something's going on, that's fine. You can just delete the email, but you'll receive the next one. And if you can attend that one, great, RSVP. There's no pressure. And it's the same for coaches as well. We're always looking for so many coaches to come and help out at our workshops. And it's the same for them. We're not here to say you have to attend X many workshops. You attend when you can, because life happens. And we didn't want to be really restrictive to people. Um, and one of the things I was mentioning about, journeys into tech is we're actually just launching a podcast called Codebar Stories, where we talk to people about their journey into tech. And so this is one thing I just wanted to quickly share with you is that, and actually with the podcast, we're really actually not interested in what the person is doing now. What we're really interested in is going, okay, well, how did you get to that job that you're doing today? Like, were you self-taught? Did you do a degree? Did you do a boot camp? Like, how was then the interview process? Because I love connecting with people as well. Like, I love hearing people's backstories, people's journeys, like particularly career changes. I think career changes are so much more interesting and fascinating than someone like me who just did a degree and got the job in tech. Like, quite a boring journey. Whereas, someone who like, early 30s, mid 30s, or even later who have career changed into tech, I find that so fascinating. And so that's really where Codebar Stories came about. And we also really want to say to people that no two journeys in tech are the same as well. So we're really trying to like get those stories out there. So again, if you are considering a career in tech and you think, is this for me? Just take a listen of Codebar Stories, and you'll hear all these different stories. So I'm going to skip this slide because actually, but these are the final thing I just want to say is that we love connecting with people. We love chatting with people. And if you want to follow us online or find out about our events, these are just the links to all our socials that we're on, where we share events, we share when there's a new Codebar Stories, when there's been a big event. So yeah, please do check us out. And that's the end of I will stop sharing
Brilliant.
now. That's the end of my Codebar spiel.
Okay, fantastic. Lots to think about there. And do you like with the case study, the stories that you're telling, can you give any examples of people that that have made career changes and that kind of thing in their, maybe after
Yeah.
they kids or what have you?
Yes. So one person who we've actually, I've got the Codebar Stories blog post scheduled, not blog post, the interview scheduled for next week because I find her journey so fascinating. And she's 52. She's a script writer for the BBC and she's transitioning to tech. And I can't wait to dig so deep into her background because I'm so intrigued as her background in, script writing, but
Mm.
also I really want to know like where did her passion for tech start? You know, what made her change path? And it's really funny because when I did meet her at a recent event, she's learning JavaScript and she said to me, she's like, JavaScript is my baby. And I was like, I've never heard a programming language described as that, but I absolutely love it. And she's so excited about it. And that again is the story that I wanted to, I want that story out there because I can't wait to talk to her because I'm so fascinated about
Yeah,
her
it's great.
journey.
Yes, because it sort of overturns, that whole, she's obviously really keen to learn something new. And I don't know
Yeah,
if there's any connection between Java and, language and
yeah.
generally that kind
And
of
it's
thing.
also debunking that,
Uh,
age as well. Like
Yes, yeah.
you can change, you can change at any point. I've
Mm.
got nieces and nephews at school and, they still get asked at school, what career do you want to do for the rest of your life? Like, what do you want to do? And I think that's actually a really outdated way of approaching
Yeah.
it because you can change career at any point. And I remember saying to them, he rang me up and he's like, Honey Kimberly, I'm really stressed. And I was like, why are you stressed? You're like 15. You shouldn't be stressed. And he was just like, I'm getting asked this question. What do I want to do for the rest of my life? And I don't know. And he was like, how am I meant to know? I'm 15. And I was like,
Yes.
Luke, you're not meant to, don't worry. And I said, whatever you go into, you can change at any point. I said, the main thing is that you're learning, you're being nice, you're whatever you learn and go into will help you. And it might actually be that something you're doing in 10 years, you don't know that it's a job yet, or it might not even
Yeah,
exist yet, particularly if we look at tech, like something that we're doing in 10 years, that job may not even exist yet. So yeah, I
absolutely.
just those backstories of people and journeys I just find so fascinating.
Absolutely. And what would you say are some of the benefits of going into tech? I mean, what are the things that are drawing people into tech who haven't done it before? Is it, that they think that's the future and that's where the jobs are and that's where the money is? Are they more, is it quite flexible as a career? What kinds of
Yeah,
things
I think
attract
there
people?
are several parts to it which I think make it a really attractive career to have. And you touched on one of it just then, which is flexibility. Particularly if you're a mum, if you're a carer, you don't have to sit at a desk 9 till 5 anymore. And COVID really debunked that idea as well. So if you do need flexibility, career tech does really allow that because you can work from home. It might be that I know some companies that go, okay, well, the core hours are 11 till 3, but the rest of the hours you can do whenever you want. And also, I don't think our brains are designed to like do the 9 till 5 thing. Some people are really creative in the morning, some people are better in the evening. And so it is incredibly flexible, which is one of the huge benefits. If you like learning, it's a really good career because again, tech is always changing. So, if you get maybe bored quite quickly, tech is always changing. Let's say you're on a website that's react as a JavaScript framework, you know that's being updated all the time, so you're always learning. So that's a really interesting part of it. And again, you touched on the third bit I'll say, which is the money. Tech is a well-paid career. So some of the people we get at codebar are single parents, and they know that if they are working in tech, it is a sustainable career for them because it is well paid. And you have to think about that. People don't want to talk about money. It's something, particularly as women, we kind of want to hide away from. But that is the reality. It is and can be a well-paid job. So if you are a single parent or, dual parents as well, that's also fine. But it is well paid. So that makes it attractive as well. And we get that at CodeBar. We get people say, I know it's a well-paid job. I'm a single parent, so I know it's sustainable for me and my child. And that's okay to also admit that, it doesn't have to also be like a huge passion of yours. You can also do it for the money. So those, I'd say, are the three top things of why tech is a attractive career. Oh, you're muted.
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, something also that is in every sector.
Yeah.
It's very varied. It's not just, you're going to just be doing, in the technology sector, you're going to be, these are skills that are needed across the board.
And actually, it is everywhere. Tech is everywhere nowadays. I know my mum got a new washing machine recently, and she was like, "Why is it asking me to connect to Bluetooth?" Like, I don't know. And I'm like, just ignore it. Like, just ignore that part. So tech is also everywhere. So I think again, like, you don't necessarily have to go into a career in tech, but I think being aware of tech is also actually a really useful skill to have, because it is everywhere. Hoovers, washing machines,
Yes,
our cars,
everything.
our computers, our phones, our watches, it is everywhere.
Yes, absolutely. And does codebar, so you're working with minority groups. What does that mean? What do you mean by minority groups? Is that just people that are underrepresented in the tech sector at the moment?
Yeah, yeah. So we have four main groups that we kind of say we help. So that's women, non-binary, LGBT, and ethnic minorities. When we've looked at eligible groups and who are the most underrepresented in tech, that falls under those. But we are also very flexible as well. We have people say, I'm really low income. Can I come? Yep, that's fine. And actually, often when people send emails like that, I say, actually, do you know what? Thank you for emailing, checking. Like, I really appreciate that. So that's, the four big groups that we say we help.
Yeah. And I think that the kind of one-to-one coaching must be really, people must really sort of value that, because I think that, confidence might be quite an issue with people if they're
Yeah.
not used to, beginners, like you said, that, some of the people that come to you are beginners, confidence can be an issue, like, oh my goodness, I'm
Yeah.
never going to this kind of stuff. But having somebody to actually help you
Yeah.
through it must be
Yeah,
really.
and it's about having like role models as well. Like confidence is such a big thing, because often people think, oh, I can't do this, like career isn't a tech for me, I'm not seeing people in tech that look like me, and that can put people off as well. So yeah, confidence is a huge part, and but that's why connecting with people is so, so important, because you can really support each other. We get a lot of people who then create little like subgroups, if they're all learning together, and they meet up outside of codebar. They'll go, oh, do you want to meet up Saturday morning at a coffee shop, and also like do some extra learning. And that is also so important for your confidence, is to make be around people the way you can all support each other, because imposter syndrome is a big thing as well. People thinking that tech isn't for them, and we're just trying to debunk that idea just as much as possible, because everyone deserves to be in tech and working in
Yes.
tech.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to go to some of the questions now. And so somebody's asking, how can I sign up to CodeBar? Which I guess you go onto the website, codebar.io.
Yeah. So if you go to codebar.io, you can sign up there. You can sign up as a student or a coach. The main thing you will need is you will need a GitHub account. So I don't know if you've ever gone onto websites and there's like authentication. We use GitHub as authentication because it is a big tech platform. Also, from a developer perspective, we didn't want the extra work of like saving passwords and emails securely, but don't say that. So you will need to create a GitHub account, but that's free. That's what we use to just authenticate you. And then one of the first things you'll get asked is what chapters you want to subscribe to. You just go down and just check the boxes that you want. And like I mentioned in my talk, once you've subscribed to chapters, you will then start to receive email invites for them. So you won't receive the email invites for all of them. If you only subscribe to, say, Brighton and Virtual UK, those are the only ones that you'll receive email invites for. And then, yeah, and like I said, you can attend as little or as often as you want.
And how would you, so one person has asked, how can you help people decide which path is right for them? I guess, you have a conversation initially, do you? And with a
Yeah,
coach, decide Java or, Python or whatever
yeah.
it
Yeah, so if you're unsure, like I say, you can tick the box that says, I don't know, I'm a complete beginner. And actually, in our back end, we'll know it's your first time because you get like a little paw print next to your name. It was a little indicator that we wanted to know, oh, it's your first time at Codebar. And then what the organizer will do is that one of the organizers will just sit with you and just, they'll may have a little chat. Like it's not a big thing, but they'll say, okay, so what part of tech are you interested in? And if you also don't know, that's fine, and in that case, we'll say, okay, well, maybe we'll just get you started with a bit of HTML. The really nice thing about our HTML work tutorials is that right from the get-go, you build a little web page. Me, I'm a very visual learner, so I like to see quite quickly what I'm building. It's why I really prefer front-end development. So very quickly, we have people, building a tiny little website. There's like a little picture of an owl. Um, but if you know what you want to do, you could just go straight to like, if I really like data analytics and visual mapping, you can quite quickly go, okay, I'm just going to learn Python because that's, the predominant
Mhm.
language for that. So, but yeah, if you're unsure, that's fine. You can tick that box and someone will have a chat with you.
Okay, brilliant. And somebody's asking, how long are the courses roughly, and what qualifications do you get to evidence at interviews?
So yeah, so like I mentioned, we're not a course, so there's
Mm.
no there's no there's no end date basically. Like you can come for years. The workshops are 2 hours, and the workshops frequency depends on the location. So one thing we do when people set up a chapter is we say it's up to you as organizers how often you run them. So some chapters, some locations run workshops weekly, some fortnightly, some monthly. It's really down to the chapter. But the workshops themselves are then 2 hours. So it's that 2 hours that you'll be paired one-to-one with a coach.
So basically, you might be doing a qualification. You could do, as you said, there are lots of the online free
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. But the code bar gives you the support, the coaching, the cohort,
yeah,
kind of stuff to help you do that course to
yeah.
complete and keep you.
Yeah, so we don't give any formal qualifications,
Yeah,
but what we are like a support network for you if you are going down a self-taught route. So if you are deciding to do an online qualification that you find, you can bring that to CodeBar and get that one-to-one support with it, or you can follow our tutorials. We have tutorials that we've written, but there's no like qualification at the end. And actually, that's one thing to note with tech is that you
yeah,
don't you don't need qualifications or anything like that to get a job in tech. Most companies want to just see evidence that you can code. So actually that's what you can do with us. You can do little mini projects. You can host them on GitHub, the platform that we use to authenticate.
yeah.
And most companies just want to see that you can code. So it's why and actually as an organization, we've looked into like, oh, do we get like official CodeBar qualifications? But it's also just a lot of admin. And
Yeah.
for us, we just thought there was real no benefit to it because most companies don't require that for a
Do you
job.
keep in touch with people so that you know where they've gone to? Like,
Yeah, we it's hard, but we try. We try to say like, I found out recently that 4 people got onto an apprenticeship program with Lego. So Lego hosted some of our workshops in London, and they took on 4 people from Cobar as part of their apprenticeship program. And I then was trying to reach out to them to be like, please keep us updated with how it's going. But that's a bit trickier because there's no requirements to let
yeah,
us know what you're doing. But
yeah,
we do try
yeah,
because I'm
yeah.
also nosy. Like I do want to know. Like I want to know how your career is going. I spoke to someone recently. She is a principal engineer at the Financial Times, and she came to Cobar 9 years ago as a student. And so her again, I was
Wow.
like, I
Yes.
need you on Cobar Stories. Like, I need to have a chat with you to
Yes.
like, because again, like, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that, and it's just so nice hearing those stories, and particularly someone who started 9 years ago and is now in a leadership position, as a principal engineer. So, yeah, I said to her, I was like, I need to get you on the podcast.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had a question here from Kanchan who says that since October I've been trying to learn software testing by working and from YouTube, but I'm stuck at a level and can't make any earnings. Am I eligible to join? I guess he's the absolutely the right kind of person
Yeah, yeah,
to join.
yeah. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, sign up on the website, subscribe to a chapter, and come along.
Yeah. Brilliant. Another question here is, and I think you did mention it, you said about coaches. Are there employment opportunities for coaches for teaching programming? And if so, what profile would you be looking for in your coaches?
Yeah, so for coaches, we don't require any like qualifications. Actually, if you have some coding experience, we would love you to sign up as a coach. The thing we ask coaches, we just ask you to list what programming languages, libraries, frameworks you can help with, because that in your profile, then that's what we use to pair you with a student. So, let's say for me example, if I when I sign up for CodeBar, I would say that I can help with HTML and CSS, JavaScript, React, and React Native, and they go in my profile in the back end. So then when a student signs up, and if a student says they want help with any of those, I would get paired with them. So that's all we ask coaches, is just to list what skills you have. But there's no like qualifications, CV checks, or anything like that.
Yeah, great. And finally, I think we're getting to the end of our time, and there's so many questions coming up. Are there any, somebody's asked, are there any recognised online qualifications that are reputable? You've said that qualifications are not necessary. It's just showing
Do you know
evidence.
what? Yeah, I used to know of a few, but honestly, I just stopped looking because you don't need it. You can go into something like Code Academy and go through them all, or go through our tutorials, but I honestly don't think you need any like quote qualifications to get a job in tech. Some of the best developers I've worked with over the years are self-taught and have no qualifications. So that's again, we were saying earlier, like what's the benefit, some of the benefits to working in tech. That's a benefit. You don't have to spend, I got a degree because I didn't really know what else to do after, college, but you don't need it. You really don't need it.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you. Oh, somebody's asked another question just come through. Do you need a strong maths background?
No, no,
No.
no. There's the internet for that.
Yeah.
There's a really popular website called Stack Overflow that answers like tech questions, and we joked. I remember a couple of years back, Stack Overflow went down, and we all were like, well, we all just can go home now. We can't do our work because we didn't have the resource to find it. So one of the biggest benefits, one of the best skills, sorry, is just knowing what solution to Google, what solution to find. So yeah, you don't need a strong maths background at all.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Kimberly. I think that's given a lot of people food for thought. And yes, do go to codebar.io and check out check out what they got to offer, and sign up and find out more.
Thank you
There
so
are
much for having me.
workshops. Yes, there are workshops in lots of different locations, as you said, and then there's also the virtual option as well if you're not near a particular physical location. So yes, and please do also check out more of our Careers Week events. We keep going till tomorrow. We've got Tech Pixies tomorrow, and we've got an event on early years, working in early years education with Realise. Thanks so much for listening today. This video will be posted on our Careers Week website as well. So if you want to listen back, you can do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.